You guys are not going to believe it, but I have fixed my single needle embroidery machine. So tonight we are going to use this magnetic hoop and complete a design on the Brother SE 1900. If you are new here, welcome. I am Tanish Fortson, your favorite virtual embroidery coach. And tonight we are stitching a Valentine's Day design. I do have some Valentine's Day designs coming out very soon, but here is one of them. We will be using this Just Hoods pink hoodie. And you guys have been asking me about how I get my rhinestones on my hoodies and my sweatshirts. So I want to show you guys. We will be attaching this red rhinestone hoodie string. It's really beautiful. And we will be attaching these adhesive rhinestones. And I have already cut a few strips off from the other design that I used the red on. But I get these from Be Createful, and this is how they come. They have the kind that are, I guess it will be considered hot fix. And then they have the regular like sticky ones. So these are adhered by heat. So these are considered the hot fix rhinestones. And I believe these are 6mm rhinestones. All right, so let's go ahead and get started.
I just have a quick tutorial, nothing too complicated. I am going to show you guys how I do these quick satin stitches. So we are going to digitize the word love. And this is how I do my simple stitches. So this should not take long at all. But anyhow, I'm going to start off. My digitizing software is open. I am going to click the draw with points. And I am going to use the straight line nodes. So I'm just drawing my points. This one only needs 3 nodes. I'm going to hit enter, and that's it. I have made an L. So I'm using the line nodes. I don't know if I said that, but they are the line nodes. For the circle, we are going to use, you can use curved or cusp. I like to use cusp just because you have more control over them. But I'm actually going to use my little cheat way. I'm going to use my little cheat way, which is this circle right here. I love to utilize that whenever possible. I'm going to hit enter. Next is the V. I'm going to click draw with points. I'm back to my lines. 1, 2, 3. Remember, the least nodes possible typically is better. So I have my V, and then next is the E. So for the E, I am going to drop, it's not going to be one continuous point that I'm going to drop. You can break it into 2 or 3 parts for the E, but for me, I like to break it into 2. So I'm going to click draw with points. So I like to do my middle portion for the E. I am going to straighten out my node. It's not straight. I'll come back to that. So my next point is going to be from here all the way down, and then I'm going to go right here. That's how I like to do my E. Some people break it into 2 parts, but I like mine to be in the 3 parts. I mean, and it also really depends. So in order to do that, I don't want any jump stitches. Let me turn on my jumps just so that you guys can see. And I don't want to like make this video longer than it should be. But in order for this not to have any jumps, we are going to need to create a traveling stitch. Now, I always say a traveling stitch is that's how you can tell like the digitizer is pretty good or decent, or you know, they're using their brain to map things out. So I'm going to create a traveling stitch just so that I won't have any jumps. So I'm going to start off at my last completed point, making line nodes. My stitch is going to travel right there. I'm going to hit enter. Remember, come over here to the properties box. Step number 6 is a traveling stitch. You need to keep that close in your mind. So now I'm going to come back here to draw with points. I am going to make line nodes. I'm going to go from here to here. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to hit enter. So we have our word. Now we just need to add the stitches. You could add the stitches as you go. I usually do, but for just to creating this for that purpose, I didn't do it as I was going because I want to show you as a whole. So I'm going to come back up here and click onto my L, and then I am going to click the satin border, and a satin border was made. The width is 3.5 millimeters. I want it to match the actual L, so I'm going to take it up to 4.5 millimeters, and that looks great. And if you look at the tips have a slight curve to it. So I'm going to come over here, look under, it's nib at start and nib at end. That's what I'm looking for. We have the options of normal, and normal is what you guys see. We have rounded and we have pointed. We want rounded at the start and rounded at the end. All right. Perfect. And your line should always be straight. There should never be any kinks when you're digitizing. Let's move over to the O. The only thing I need to do for this is hit satin border. I am going to also make that a 4.5. You can try to cover it as best you can. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I can see my jumps. I don't want like heavy jumps like that, so I'm just going to move that my start right there, just so it's just not a heavy jump. All right, now we're gonna come over here to the V, and I just remembered I forgot to show you guys the tie-ins and tie-outs, so I'll do that as a whole, but I'll come back to it. All right, the V, I'm just gonna come up here to satin border, and I'm gonna click it. Everything looks great. I'm going to change it to 4.5 millimeters there and there. All right, so I also need to round the start and round the end. All right, so the last thing is the E. I'm going to hit satin, and there we are. We're going to change it to a 4.5 millimeter to match the rest. My start, I'm going to bring it. It doesn't really matter. I can leave my start right there. But what I do want to do is straighten this line. This line, your lines always need to be straight. Also, at the start, I'm going to round the start. All right. So remember this right here, this number 6 was a traveling stitch. So we're just going to hit line right there to make that traveling stitch. And we're going to click on our last points, and I started right here. I have a jump, so I'm going to bring that right there. We always need to be thinking about jumps, especially for people with machines that do not trim jump stitches. Let's move that right there just so that it's easier. All right, so we have this point now. We have our traveling run. It's going to start right here and go right here. And our last point, we are going to hit the satin border, and it's going to start right here. Because remember, our traveling stitch ended right here, so we needed this to start where the previous stitch ended, and we are going to make this 4.5, and we need to nib at the start and the end. We're going to do rounded and rounded. We just need to even this out. And you guys, I will like literally play with these nodes all day. All right, so I'm going to delete my image. Let me see. It's still a little off right here. And you can tell from the kinks. We don't want any kinks. So overall, we only got one more thing. We need to tie at the entry and the exit of all of the letters. You could click the whole thing and tie the whole thing, but we have this run right here, and I don't want the run tied at all because it's a traveling stitch. So for the V, tie an entry, tie an exit. So for the E, This is how we're going to do it. We are going to tie at the entry. That's our tie in. We are not going to tie at the exit because we want it to catch the traveling stitch, which is right here. We're not going to tie at the entry or the exit. And for this satin border right here, we're not going to tie at the entry, but we are going to tie at the exit, which is down here. And we have our word love. It was very simple, very easy. Let me know if you guys are going to try these type of easy satin stitches.
Okay guys, let's turn on my machine. So I am going to pull up the design and it is saved to my machine already. Going to say love. This is a Valentine's Day design. It is a 5x7, but I do have a design coming up for the split designs on this machine. I've already digitized it, but I'm gonna have some other designs on the next video. Let's get this sweatshirt hoop. I said that I was going to hoop using this dime magnetic hoop, but I'm actually going to hoop it the regular way using the standard hoops. Just because for the standard hoop, I have a grid and I could just easily mark my points. That's the only reason why. Now I do have the Mighty Hoop Hoopmaster Home Edition, which is designed specifically for single needle machines, but I will get into that device later as well when we talk about hooping devices for the single needle. The only problem, you can also float it using these. I just don't want any movement. All right, here's my 505 spray. I'm going to go to my box. I have already marked my points with this grid. So what I'm going to do is turn this inside out and just stick it to the sweatshirt. Now let's flip this right side out now, as gently as possible. I can already see mine lifting. All right, just smooth it out. Smooth it out. This right here is fine. So I'm just going to slide this underneath. So it's gonna go about right here. I'm lifting and now I am just sliding underneath. And my center, I'm just going to use the outline as a guide, and I can already feel and see that that is not right. Okay, so I'm going to use this grid as a marker where to put my hoop, and it actually worked out perfectly. I remember when I used to hoop on this all the time, I would tape the grid to whatever I was working on and then slide my hoop under. I forgot all about that technique. It's actually showcased on one of my reels. So now we are going to take the top and place it on. I may need to open this so that I don't get hoop burn. Oh, it went in there. We'll probably have to wet it a little bit just to get rid of any potential hoop burn. And as you guys see, my line is a little crooked. Let's see. And I'm gonna measure that right now. Now I did draw the line a little crooked, but we can actually see right now. So this right here is 5 inches on this side, and this right here, we're gonna need to fix that. Okay, 5 inches. Ooh, 5 inches. All right, so we are good. Everything is hooped. And now we are just going to turn this inside out. We're gonna make sure the hoop is on there good. All right, we are just kind of like to flip the hood the other way. And I also like to take the sleeves and pull those outward. And I just also need to make sure my hoop does not pop off. Probably would have been easier if I would have hooped this the other way with the bulk of the fabric not in the neck part, but I'm not going to rehoop. We have our little opening, we have our center. Now we just need to flip this design. I'm gonna come right here to rotate, and it is rotated. So what I am going to do is do a trace. So you just want to make sure it's hitting the points that you want it to hit, and everything is perfect on my end. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to bring the thread spool right here. There's a nail that screws in that I lost. But anyways, I just wanted to raise it a little bit. And by the way, I believe that I'm using a 7511 Oregon needle. I'm going to come right here to this little pair of scissors, and my tension is about a 4.4. I did do a tension test. Let me show you guys. It's about a it's between a 4.4 and a 3.8, according to the back. And I actually probably like this one. This one is a 3.8. So I'll probably do a 4.0, just something in between. I'm gonna hit OK, and we are ready. This is taking 19 minutes. And you guys, I am so not used to this. I'm so spoiled with my multi-needles, my Melcos. All right, I think we are ready to go. So I'm gonna pause it and I'm gonna trim my thread. My machine does not cut jump stitches. I think single needles nowadays, the newer ones do. All right, so we're on the last letter, which is the E. I noticed something fell a little bit, so something got caught. I am going to trim. So I'm just going in there with some little scissors. I'm gonna trim. You have to be careful not to knock this off of registration. Now I don't want to have to take it off. I will if I have to. I'm looking for my applique scissors. They have a longer reach. Let me see if these will work. All right, I can see what's holding it now. Trying to trim it without cutting the actual sweatshirt. I didn't even know that it was stuck this long. I got it out. There is a little bit of damage and a teeny tiny hole, but I'm thinking like if I heat press it and kind of smooth it out, it should go away. And I believe the pulling either did that or my scissors did that. But unfortunately, it's right in the front, so that upsets me. I'm gonna spray it down with water. I could probably be able to salvage it. It's like a dirt spot, and I'm pretty sure with all the pulling, it may have got pulled out of registration on this corner right here. So that's what you gotta be careful of. So what I'm gonna do is stick a piece of tearaway underneath that part. I'll just slide it underneath. And now I'm gonna go back, I don't know, 50 stitches or so, maybe 100. Yeah, I only went back 20, so that should be sufficient. But obviously, I want to see if my registration or anything like that has been thrown off. So I see a lot of people, they have clips and stuff just to hold this in place, and I actually don't have any. I have nothing, you guys, or at least I don't know where it's at because this isn't something that I make continual, so I don't have any handy. Talk about registration being off. There's nothing that I can do at this point. You guys know that I don't remove stitches. I don't try to save nothing. I'm just going to start again. All right, now I am going to cut it. All right, so you guys can see why I am not gonna try to salvage it. It is literally in a different place. We're gonna stitch this again. I'm gonna get it hooped and get it back in the same area just so that we could pick up where we left off. But let me say this. It happens. We don't beat ourselves up over it like I used to do in the beginning. I have extra shirts right behind me. One of the reasons why I didn't have that much opening in the waist is because this is a size small. This was my last small. This shirt is for myself, and the extra large is so big on me. You guys know I don't like the oversized look. I would rather go smaller than to go bigger, but it's just really big in the neck area, and in the hip area. I mean, I don't have a lot in the back, so it's just like really, it's really baggy in those areas, and it's super long on the sleeves. And I'm not like a small person, however, an extra large is way too big for me. That's the end of that. But however, I'm just going to get the extra large hoop, and plus it needs to be a hoodie because I want to use this very beautiful hoodie string. So I will be right back. I have to sit here and watch my machine, but I worked with a single needle from 2021, 2022. So for 2 years, I worked with a single needle. Obviously, I had better techniques back then. I just forgotten a lot of them. I was literally sitting right here, drinking my melted coffee, daydreaming, and I didn't even hear a change in the machine. You know how like when something gets stuck, you can hear a change, but it wasn't stuck yet. I caught it before it really got stuck. And I put a piece of solvay on it. Don't even ask me why, but I did it. Lord, I am out of practice when it comes to my single needle embroidery machine. There is another error. It is completely 100% my fault, because remember when I said I laid some solvay down? When I laid the solvay down and I was fumbling trying to get it flat, I did something. So ignore the stitches that you see that are not in the satin stitch. I'm probably going to pick those out manually. Anyhow, let's take this off. I don't know if I want to show you that error. I think I want to clean it up first, but for transparency, I guess I'll show it to you guys. So with lane 7, 90% of the time I will put a piece of solvay down. With other brands, you really don't need it because they aren't as fleecy as lane 7, so you won't get the stitches sinky. This is just hoods, just hood, gilded. I mean, you don't really need a piece of solvay on top, if I'm being honest. So I put it on there anyways, just because I like doing it. I feel like it just makes the stitches sit really nicely on top. That's why I do it, honestly. When I put the solvay on there, there's this little stitch line right here. So it moved a little bit. What I'm noticing, and I don't remember my machine being this sensitive to registration at all whatsoever, but when you see people and they're complaining about the digitizer and their design shifting, it is them, not the digitizer. I digitize this. I've stitched it out for my community. I want you guys to see the difference between stitches produced on a single needle versus stitches produced on a multi-needle. Some people will say there's no difference, but there is a difference in stitch quality, at least with my Melco. And if I have pictures, I will insert it right here because this was an exercise that I did with the Embroidery Mastery community. But anyways, this is how it looks. Now, what we need to do is get the heat press ready, and adding the hoodie string is the last thing that we will do. All right, so the only thing that I would need to do is to pop this up right here. I am going to fix it the best of my ability because it will irk me. So I can literally see the stitch line right here. So what I'm doing is just lifting the single run. I highly doubt that the rest of the embroidery will be impacted by this. All right, so I will be back after I put my kids to bed. Okay, I am going to do is cut some strips of the rhinestones. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is there is a very strong chemical smell. All right. I remember the first time I did this, I was using scissors and it took forever. All right. First strip, I'm just gonna gently put it right here. Now let's do the second strip. Strip number 2, let's go on to strip number 3. This is the fastest way. Strip number 4. Strip number 5. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here. I have other colors as well that I just want to show you. Here's the brown. I did the brown on my brown hoodie. It is so pretty. This is the clear. This is the black. Now, the black doesn't have enough sparkle for me, so I'm not sure what I can use the black for. And I really like this one. This one is the AB crystal. So what I'm basically going to do for the hoodie is take this and just heat press it on. It's very, very simple. I am just pushing the strip down like with a little pressure just so it'll somewhat stick without too much shifting. And now I am going to cut. All right, so now I'm gonna put this on here and I'm gonna give it some pressure. Probably not as much as an actual heat press would give. All right, now let's do the collar. So I do have some shorter ones that may work. Not exactly the length that I would like, but let's just see if we can use some of these shorter pieces. So the good thing about these is that once you press them, while they're still warm, they're a little movable. I have a bad feeling about this seam right here. It just is not seeming like it wants to cooperate in a specific area. You guys see that little dip, right? There's some kind of dip in the stitching. So I'm just gonna smooth it out. And now I just need a small one. So what I'm gonna do is use these 2 irons to kind of adhere it, and then I'm gonna do it on the bigger one. So it's really simple. You just need to get the technique down. And I'm not gonna go all the way around to the back because I am tired and ready to go to bed. So now I'm just gonna do this other side. This is the last part that I'm going to do. I'm gonna go reinforce this with my actual heat press, but I'm just gonna put a little strip from here to here. All right, so the only thing that I'm doing is just putting it right along the seam right here. Take off one more rhinestone. Okay, so everything is heat pressed on, and now we are going to work on the hoodie string. They told me to tie this on, and I'm not sure. It just makes it too thick because of this right here. So let me see. Yeah, it doesn't work. I don't see any way to tie and still be able to pull this through with the thickness. And actually, I think this may even be too thick to even get through the hole. All right, so I will be back when I have sort of slid this through. We are at the end. That took a little more work than I was sort of hoping for. All right, where is this? Let's try to pop this back on the best way we can. I will kind of fix it later. All right, let's try this bad boy on. This is the extra large on me. Here are the hoodie strings. All right, we had some problems working on my single needle. I need to become acclimated with it again, and no worries, I will be very soon because I have some fun tutorials coming up for my single needle, and I have digitized some fun applique designs. No like thick sequence, but one of the designs you can use the thinner sequence or HTV or other cotton material you may choose to use. So anyhow, I am running a sale on my courses again. The last one was during Black Friday. Now this is the end of the year, the Christmas sale. They won't go back on sale for a while, so I'd advise you to get them now. I do have some other courses that I am going to be working on in the future, so those will be coming out pretty soon as well. We do have a lot of fun things planned for the start of 2026 as well. Do not forget, if you guys want to become a part of the embroidery mastery community, it will be linked below. If you find this kind of content helpful, do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you can know whenever I post a video. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Mwah. Bye.